Yes, Hickok 45 coming to you from the beautiful hills, green hills of Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, but Tennessee, really, in general, the home of Greg Allman, Dolly Parton, Jeff Quinn, lots of cool people, right? Somebody gave me a hard time last week for not mentioning Dolly Parton. They'd not been around long. She was the mention every week for a long time, I think, on the Shooting the Breezes and, I don't know, radio shows, whatever. You new folks. All kinds of yakking videos out there. Yeah, did 100 radio shows, right? He stood in the barn basically and talked to you about all kinds of insignificant things like I do now here. And then Shooting the Breeze was the same thing. I just kind of moved it outside or wherever I wanted to be and filmed it, so it was not just audio. And I've done those all over the place. And how many of those did I do 100 of those? I don't know, I did Shooting the Breezes for a long time. And then it sort of evolved into just talking at you and shooting a Sunday shoot around, an idea I'd had for kind of a long time, just as I come out to shoot casually to yak at you and bring out. It really does. For me, it combines all of that. I get to yak about some things I want to talk about, but it also gives me an opportunity to bring out, you know, some firearms that's maybe you've seen 100 times, but just something I want to shoot. You know, so you're sort of with me. I don't know, kind of a normal day when I'm not really doing a video, just shooting something. Okay, so anyway, what do I have today, and what am I doing here? It's the 10th. You're seeing this on the 10th of July, a day before my birthday. Yeah, man, I keep aging. I can't believe it. And I did want to give a shout out to Dolly Parton. I'm not so sure about some of her politics on some things. I've heard both pro and con on that, but she is a great lady who does a lot of great work. And so I continue to mention her like she really needs it, right? I'll tell you someone I want to mention this week who also really needs it, right, is Tucker Carlson. Oh my gosh. On his shows this week, a couple of times at least, he just... there's masterpieces, really, in terms, well, they're always masterpieces, I guess, but just special things he brought up and video clips he saw. I'll talk a little bit about it. It's funny because I had made little notes of some things I wanted to talk about. I kind of do that through the week. If there's something I think about that, yeah, I might talk about that Sunday. And he kept stealing my stuff, right, as he always does. But, yeah, oh man. Yeah, he is so good. So, I don't know, what we're doing today. I don't know. Well, yeah, I am a little bit older. So I bet you all are a day older too, or a couple of days older, or a year older than you were a year ago. You know, one of the things that comes up, it occurred to me, is, and you're probably the same way, you don't necessarily feel older. Hopefully you don't. If you're in poor health, you know, it's easy to feel older than you are, even if you're 22, right? But it's just this weird thing for you young people. When someone says they still feel like they're 21 or feel like they're still 30 and they're 60 or 80 or something, they probably mean it in their mind. It's not an attempt to appear young. I mean, I've never done that. I don't care really what age I am. I'm more concerned about my health and my circumstances. That's really the main thing. I don't fear being 3 years older or 5 years older or anything. I just swallowed a bug, I think. Wash it down with some Elite water. You might see it if you do slow-mo. A little protein, I guess. I think I saw him fly into my mouth. I should not have my mouth open so often. But I've thought that for so long that, and I've said it several times, I still feel like I'm 21. The only difference between now and when I was, I don't know, 18 or whatever, I probably can't go get in a pickup basketball game and run up and down the floor and stuff with two hands with no trouble. And I can't do all that, but I don't really, that never crosses my mind that, oh gosh, I so wish I could go play some full court basketball and keep up with the young guys, young gals, young kids, anybody, young first graders. And I wish I could get up there and leap up there and slam it down with two hands like I used to be able to do easily, that kind of. But that never really occurs to me. I don't miss that. I mean, that was kind of an unusual thing, really. How many people can do that or want to do that anyway, yeah, really, everything I want to do, or go biking or running or jogging or walking or working and building a fence or whatever I want to do, that really hasn't changed since I became an adult, if I ever have become an adult. And then too, mentally, that's the thing. I hope that I've gotten wiser and learned from my mistakes and all that sort of thing. But I still enjoy, I guess that's what we mean when we say that. Well, I still feel like I'm 30, or I can't believe I'm 50, or I'm 80 or 90 or whatever I am. When people say that, I think we have this vision when we're like 20 or 15 or whatever, when we're really young. We have this idea when we see an old person kind of ambling along, and gray hair, and we just kind of think they got such a totally different view of the world, like they were born that way. They are nothing like me. They don't see the world like me, or they don't see the world anything like they did when they were younger or anything. But you really don't change that much. I mean, you still like the same things you liked, whatever age you are. I mean, duh. Like to do the same things. Probably even have the same political views and everything. You like the same hobbies or what. So you don't really, just because you look older, you are older. There may be no difference from on the inside looking out. You know what I'm saying? So when people say that, and when I say that, I still feel like I'm in my 20s and doing all the same stuff and moving around and same interests and everything. I'm not trying to say, well, I'm really a young, cool, hip guy. Yeah, it's no attempt at that at all. When I was teaching, middle school and high school, it is so lame when someone tries to be like one of the kids, tries to be extra cool, like they're one of the 16-year-olds or 13-year-olds or 18-year-olds, whatever. You would see occasionally a teacher be that way a little bit. That is so lame, and of course kids can see right through that. I never had any. I'm not 15. At that time I'm 30 or I'm 40 or I'm 50. I'm not. But I still enjoy a lot of the same humor and see the same things, and we got along, I thought, really well. I could relate to them to some extent, not entirely. One of the biggest reasons I couldn't relate to them was when technology took over, and how my last years of teaching, some of those kids that had the phone and the technology, all that, like their whole lives, so they're just becoming pretty different, in that sense. They were becoming different because that was a different world. Anyway, how to get off of all that. So what was I shooting when y'all came on board? I was shooting, I guess, have I told you about this? Have I shown it to you? I don't think so. We did a video on the CZ, the Scorpion, the carbine, I don't know, 4 years ago. And I liked it. I liked it. Really thought, in fact, I had bought 3 or 4 magazines for the video. They were not expensive, and so it had plenty of magazines, and I kept those over the years. Now I've misplaced them. I can't find but I kept them thinking, I might have to have one of those for myself, and so I just hung on to them. It's one reason I bought them. Because as I shot it, I realized with the, I don't have it here, the 20-round mag, I think this is really cool. I'm going to go ahead and buy a few mags. They're not expensive, and I'll have them in case I want one of these, and I might want one of these. And I wasn't sure whether I wanted the pistol or the rifle. If I did, and I kind of forgot about it. You know, I got that with the CX4 Storm, but as often happens with me, I was in Clarksville Gun and Archery picking up a gun one day from Bud's, and I looked on the wall. And here's what they had. It's loaded, so I'm not going to miss it yet too much. It was a Scorpion EVO3 S1 pistol. I picked it up and sighted it. And, oh yeah, this is that firearm I liked, because I don't see a lot of them in shops. This is the pistol. Yeah, and I put it up. And, yeah, kind of liked that. You know, I have some magazines for that if I could find them. And anyway, it followed me home. Yeah, I have to admit. And I guess I've not shown it to you yet. So I got the Banish 45 suppressor from Silencer Central on there, and it sounds pretty cool with this 150 grain. What I'm shooting is sometimes in a handgun, we discovered with 9mm and suppressed, you either get like it doesn't want to function reliably unless you get the ammo just right, some tweaked right, or it's just the right weight and all that. It's weird. It's been our discovery, but we've not experimented too much. We had discovered with like both John's Uzi, and I discovered with this that maybe because they're blowback, I don't know, but they do fine with the heavy 9mm ammo, and that's where you get your quieter shooting, of course, because it's more subsonic. And it still seems to function. I haven't shot much of it yet, but that's what I'm shooting, 150 grain. And what I have on it is the Sig Sauer Romeo S and or no, Romeo 5. I haven't laid eyes on it for a while. I had it on an AR. I wasn't even sure where it was. This thing came with some sights, the CZ sights on it, and they're not bad. They're pretty low profile, and you really have to get down on them. And then I couldn't get the front sight lowered enough to get the point of impact I wanted. Still shooting just a little bit low. So I put some other iron sights on it, AR-15 iron sights on it. And it was even worse. I couldn't get the front sight. It just wouldn't be low enough I couldn't get it adjusted in order to get it to hit where I wanted, even though it had a better sight picture. And they were up where I needed them. So I said, where's a red dot I can steal, rip off one of my other firearms? I've got a couple or three, maybe 4, with red dots on them. I've got a couple, at least aim point. I didn't want to really take them off. Once you get them zeroed and everything, I'm hesitant to move them around. But I said, where's my Romeo 5? What gun do I have on? It's on my BCM. And I'll just pull that off and put it on here. Now I think what I really, and it's fine, that's fine. I think what I want though, you know, ironically, the last time I bought an aim point, I ordered it, I don't know, Amazon or somewhere, and it didn't come with a high mount, and so it wouldn't really work on an AR. So I had to fool around and finally get a mount for it and all that. And I couldn't find, I guess, the low mount where that is. But what I need is, I think, a lower mount, because it's going to sit up, I think, just perfectly without the higher mount, like an AR uses or needs, kind of. And so I'll get that thing adjusted, and I think I'm going to like it. But this is mine. You know, this is, I bought it. Okay. Oh boy, it's on safe, but it's got ammunition in it. In fact, I'm going to shoot a couple more shots. Do you mind? Why'd I put my ears in? Oh, let's go ahead and hit a red plate. I think I got that sight on. I can't even see the ram, barely. Yeah, oop, knocked him over. Can't believe it. Got that turkey. Makes that steel loud, doesn't it? See if it makes a bowling pin loud. Which one? The one way down there, yeah. Yeah, not too loud. I'm going to take that mag out. And that bullet. That's the bullets you always have to watch now. The one in the chamber, right? So I don't know how familiar you are with these things, if you like them at all. There's nothing new about them. As usual, kind of late to the game, right, on reviews. Hope the sun's not getting too weird on me here. A little bit earlier in the day than I normally am. I've been around a long time. There's a million videos, people shooting these things and souping them up and changing them, modifying them and everything. So as usual, I'm a little bit late. Well, I say late. We don't rush into anything, and we don't help anybody launch their stuff, of course. And I'll tell you one thing that I picked it up and said, yeah, I kind of like that. I remember, and safeties, they've changed the safety. So I'm not even sure what brand it is, some of the modifications, but I know one of the problems, the negatives on that carbine was the safety over here. It was annoying, very annoying, and in the way, there's ambi safety. And then the grip wasn't really ergonomic. So they have replaced that. Whoever, this was used, they told me. And it's just like new, but they said it was used. So somebody changed out the grip and the safety, which is, I think, what a lot of people change out on these things. And they may have changed out that brace. I don't know what brace comes on them, or they did that or not. I don't know who makes that brace. I kind of like it. Oh, here it is on the back. I'm such a scientist, I don't even know. Gearhead Works. Gearhead Works. Okay, that's the name of the brand. And it feels good, pretty sturdy. So, pretty cool. We slipped the Banish 45 suppressor on it. It comes with a shroud, kind of a shroud. Yeah, speaking of Tucker Carlson, a barrel shroud really fits over the end there. And it doesn't have the shoulder thingy that goes up on it, but it's got the head, comes with a shroud, which looks pretty cool. It comes out to about here. And yeah, nice rig, nice rig. I'm happy with it. Now, I know, don't be telling me, why you have that? You got the CX4 Storm that you really like. Yeah, that's where one of my aim points is. I don't know, I'm just like you all, like everybody else, I've got, it's about 100 degrees today, and humid. Sometimes one is not enough, just that simple. These are fun. Pistol, I don't know, this is really not a pistol caliber carbine, this is a pistol, but pretty big pistol, right? Even with the brace folded up, that's one big pistol, right? But we kind of like these things. They're fun to shoot, if nothing else, even if you don't have an application for them. Well, in the video I get into that, of course, which you might have seen already, or you might not have. How many actual firearms do you have that have a dedicated purpose? Maybe you have a carry gun, like I have in a holster right here today, or in a pocket, I might. And you have guns that are for specific purposes, places, maybe in your house for defensive purposes, or a shotgun for hunting, or a defensive shotgun. Once you get past 5 or 6 firearms, and I'm talking about hardcore people that are kind of into firearms. Some of you may not have but one or whatever, or none yet, but once you have 5 or 6 firearms, you get your 22 for this, or 22 rifle, or for varmint hunting you do, or whatever, and a shotgun or two, and you got a couple, 3 defensive pistols maybe, and a rifle. There is a point, maybe it's 10, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been at 10, so I can't relate, I guess. But once you get to a certain point, then everything else is just like duplicates or gravy, right? It's because you just enjoy shooting it. It's just a fun gun to shoot. Or maybe it's, maybe it's not necessarily better than this other one you have, but it's a little different and you like it. You want a Marlin and you want a Winchester. You want a CZ and you want a Beretta, whatever the reason is, if you can afford it. Now, if you can afford it is big, okay? Don't go in debt for toys, not wise. So anyway, here I am. Do I have any advice for you? No. Well, a couple of things. The imposter issue is still out there, and if I see them, I delete them, block them. But oh my gosh, I don't see half the stuff on the internet. There's this thing now. I don't even know what this Telegram site is. You see a lot of stuff. Telegram, go to Telegram or whatever, and then you got people trying to get you to text them in order to and they've stolen my avatar. They got me there with a shotgun, so it looks like coming from me, and even my username sometimes, Hickok45, and they say, oh, you won something, text such and such to pick up your prize or whatever it is. Well, on one hand, I want to say, okay, if you fall for that, you deserve it. But then on the other hand, I don't want to be mean. There are people just not very savvy, and they don't not as aware of all the scams out there, on the internet and social media, and everywhere. So in other words, just know that's not me. You're never going to be asked to text me, or text some number, any kind of thing. If so, I would talk about it in a Sunday video, right? Okay, this is where I have more time, talk about things. I let you know anything that's going on, like that. If we've got something going on with Buds or Silencer Central or the Sonoran Desert Institute or Federal, some kind of special thing, and we typically just keep things simple. We don't have things like that going on. If you buy 2 hats today, you get something if you text some number. Yeah, we just don't do that. So, everybody doesn't watch the Sunday videos, and I can't blame them. A lot of yakking, right? But, if you do, right? Even if you don't, if you watch a lot of videos, you probably know. And most of you are pretty savvy, yeah, that's a scam. Okay, help me report those people. Block them, out them, and any way you can when you see that junk, okay? All right, I just thought to mention. And I do get a lot of messages, obviously, as I say every now and then, Facebooking around, and I skim through, but I can't answer them all. Was there somebody recently I saw one that he had already tried to get a hold of me a couple of times, said, so you can't talk to me, I'm not important enough, or something like that, that's just going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not because you're not important. There's too many, that's all it is, too many, okay? Speaking of idiots, well, I got to shoot first just so I don't throw up, okay? Model 66, 2.5 incher. This is another one. Have I had this out yet? I don't know. But it's a Model 66 made in 1978. So I'm going to shoot it right here. Yeah, boy. I like it. Pretty nice. Nothing like a revolver in a K-frame, right? In a K-frame. Again, sorry if the light gets weird. Yeah, like to shoot that. That's just fun. It's sad. There's I don't know where all the crazy people are coming from all of a sudden. Yeah, in the last 10, 20 years. But it's sad. The incident in Highland Park, I guess, north of Chicago, it's just bizarre. We really do need to, as has been pointed out, by Tucker and others, we need to really be finding the common denominators. I've talked about that before, these people. What drugs have they taken? Are they taking? That's supposedly keeping them from being depressed or whatever. What do they eat? What are they drinking? Is there some common denominator? Put it in the hands of the scientists, the nutritionists, and there's people who actually are objective and can study it. And then of course their childhood. It's a mix of all that. But there's something that's just worse, and there's no big surprise, is it? Look at society. People live on social media, and everybody wants their 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 seconds of fame and all that sort of thing. But it is sad. It is sad. And then of course the politicians come out before for the bodies are cold, and use it to promote their political agendas. And one of those is always against the Second Amendment, right? And didn't I just say this? Was it last week? I knew it was in the last week, within the last week or two. I commented on that comment about how I get occasionally about our founding fathers had meant for us to have ARs or whatever. They were thinking muskets, that kind of thing. I mean, that is so dumb on so many levels. It's like you almost can't even address it, right? I mean, to even react to it. I mean, anybody who says that, they're revealing a level of idiocy that's just almost unspeakable. Okay, yeah, they didn't know about anything other than muskets. Yeah, we should all be using quill pens and parchment to communicate. What are you doing with that iPhone in your pocket and a laptop? Social media. You don't need any of that. Just First Amendment. If that's your thinking on the Second Amendment, then it must be your thinking in general. All the amendments and all the freedoms that the Constitution, protects. Oh man, I mean it's just beyond dumb. Anyway, Governor of Illinois, not afraid to be beyond dumb, right? Did you hear when he came out? I think it was his first press conference. That's what it was. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, he said our founders carried muskets, not assault rifles. There you go. What a brain. What a genius. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they didn't carry. I mean, again, on so many levels, what is an assault rifle? Well, actually, those were assault muskets if they wanted to be. Assault is an action, it's not an item, inanimate item. Oh boy. And then of course the governor of New York, equally dumb. She don't want to talk. So someone tried to ask her about the statistics about concealed carry permit holders. I think it was. They're trying to ask her at a news conference this week. And I mean, they're clamping down like they're just panicky that anybody would have a gun and be carrying it, and so, and then, but don't put facts in her way. But that concealed carry permit holders don't commit crimes. No, don't want to hear that. She didn't want that. That data point, I think she said. Whew, who votes for people like that? Surely they have revealed themselves before this week to be the idiots they are. I know it's strong language, right? But anyway, it's just bizarre. And this happens. What makes it would be funny if it weren't so sad. In all the last 20, permits started becoming really common, carry permits, and around early 90s. Florida was I think one of the first, and then it spread from there. Okay, from state to state. So okay, everybody in Florida is not killing each other. It's not other than the usual criminals. Always going to be doing that. But and then every time a state would bring it up, you would see the same headlines, the same articles and columns, in the editorials in the paper or wherever about it's going to be the Wild West. That was their favorite line. It's going to be the Wild West now on the street. Someone gets cut off or shoots someone, the bird on the highway, they're going to have a pistol and they'll be pulling them out, and shooting each other and that kind of thing. And it got laughable because it was just like, it wasn't 50 times because there's still some states where you can't do it, but it had to be like at least 40 different times in every single state. As that spread, you would see the exact same arguments from the exact same types of people, generally. But it was just over and over, and it's so funny. This has been 30 years now. Over 30 years, we've been hearing those same stories. Like every few months when another state is considering carry permits. Now it's been a long time because most states have had all that solidified now for a while. But I'm old enough to remember it quite well and to have laughed at it so many times. And it got old and older and older and older and funnier and funnier. But, you know, it's like, okay, folks in whatever state, and of course it's the anti-gunners mostly, but folks in Missouri or folks in Illinois or folks in Georgia, wherever it is that they're considering it for the first time after all the adjacent states have already passed it 5 years ago. All they have to do is look at the state next to them or the 10 states around them or the states across the country, wherever, do about 3 seconds worth of research, and you might realize, no, people are not, it's not the Wild West, it's not Dodge City, you know. But I think they know it. It's just that sounds good, right? Sounds good at the microphone for their bass. And then you do have to remember, there, and even in Dodge City, you know, they always use that as the example, it would be Dodge City or the Wild West. Well, it was an armed society and a rather polite society. You know, when you're watching a Western, you think of Dodge City and the shootouts. Most people in Kansas and Dodge City around there and Tombstone, everywhere else, they're busy running their store, their business. If they were a buffalo hunter or they were a farmer or a rancher, they were doing there just like all of us do. They weren't involved in shootouts and that kind of thing. That was happening in certain areas of town mostly, right? The crazy saloons and the wild places, just like right now. There are places in Nashville or St. Louis, any city you want to name. There are streets, there are nightclubs or wherever, where there might be a shootout tonight. Someone might get shot. And it's gotten worse maybe, but people are just less civil now. But that was the way 30 years ago, 50 years ago. You know, there's places around you might get shot where people are drinking and it's just the crowd that hangs out there. Well, it was that way in Tombstone and everywhere else in Dodge City, okay? So even the analogy is flawed in a lot of ways. Most people all through the history of this country have been about their business, building their farm, their ranch, their lives, whatever they were doing. So, but anyway, that same argument, it's coming up now, of course, in New York and California and around Chicago. You know, just the Wild West. Who was it? Yeah, I guess it was the New York governor talking. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Part of her brilliant speech talking about, she actually said that again about someone cuts you off in traffic, or the person you nudge or elbow or whatever on the transit or on the subway will be carrying a gun. Yeah, they're so clueless. They really don't seem to get it that just because I'm carrying a gun, it doesn't turn me into a hot-tempered idiot. Yeah, it's just crazy. I'm always wearing a gun. Most of the people I know have a gun. Just because I might fall on them getting onto the bus. I might get thrown on the bus, and I might hit them pretty hard accidentally, or they might hit me pretty hard. I don't think pulling a gun on them is going to be on my mind. Okay, they just have no faith in human nature or in people. Now, there's some people, obviously, that don't deserve it, having any faith in them, but that's the other element. That's the extreme small percentage of people, you know. But anyway, we all know that. I'm not telling you anything. It just becomes a Saturday Night Live skit, is really what it becomes, you know. And actually, it's funnier than a Saturday Night Live skit. They're not very funny usually anymore. They used to be. Did I unload this thing? All right, let's shoot some hand load, 357 in it, okay? These are moderate loads. If you're not familiar with the 66, check out the video. It is what? Some of you know what it is, right? It is the stainless steel version of the Model 19. That's what it is. Boom. And 2.5 inches on the barrel is fairly short. And it's not a bull barrel, so I was a little reluctant on this one, but I had one like this years ago, and I traded it off. Man, I should have put this in the video. We just did a video we'll be posting about the one that got away, about the guns that you replaced and everything. And I should have had this one out for that, really, I guess. But that wasn't all that long ago, maybe 20 years ago. There you go, age. See, 20 years doesn't seem that long ago. I remember letting somebody talk me out of it. Of course, I took it to the show. It was a Bob Pope show down in around Smyrna, Laverne, Tennessee. Some of you from the Nashville area will remember those great gun shows. And now there's a truck company or something in that building where they used to have those. Peterbilt sales. I don't know. I don't get down that way too often, but I had it and I traded it or sold it, bought it to somebody, and the same old story. And kind of missed it. Beautiful gun. 2.5 inch barrel gets down there to where, especially where it's not a bull barrel. I'll show you the barrels. It's not like my Model 65 or Model 13 Smith. It's just standard weight barrel and 2.5 inches. So if you fire something really hot, guess what? You're gonna feel it. But by and large, it's not bad. I mean, there's a K-frame revolver. It's not scandium and titanium, so you can hang on to it without too much trouble. So I don't know where all these violent people come from, what the parents are doing to make them that way. In fact, they don't have parents, or raised on the street, or they got weird, freaky parents, or it's something they're taking. But I'm all for some research on that. I would help fund it. Somebody look into it. That's not, that's the other thing Tucker was showing this week, how the drug companies are basically supporting and driving all the news programs. And so, how are they going to be objective if it is some of the drugs that we're giving to kids? And if the big pharma is making a lot of money off of that, well, is CNN going to report on that, or are they going to do an in-depth study of that? It's like expecting a really, really objective review of a firearm in a gun magazine. We've always joked about that. And we read them and we enjoy them and everything. There's some great gun writers. I'm not making fun of them at all. A lot of people have had great careers and contributed greatly to the firearms industry and the literature. But so much of firearms media, print media, and even video media, it's driven by advertising free firearms and that kind of thing. Helping to launch their products, and in exchange for that, they get all the new products and all the support and everything else for that. And it has driven this industry for a long time. And I have bought 10,000 gun magazines probably and eaten it up. I've read it and videos or whatever. And I make that comment. I don't mention names, but I have said that in private to people lots of times about how certain people in the firearms world that make good videos or do that sort of thing and very active in the Second Amendment causes and everything else, and maybe a large part of what they do is driven by advertising, and reviewing the same gun that's paying for the ad on the show, whatever it is. And some people give them a harder time than I would, I guess. Even though we avoid that stuff like the plague, I don't condemn them because, for one thing, it's obvious. If you're not bright enough to see it, then it's your own fault. Okay. They made a nice career with all those ties and everything. They provided a lot of information for us about firearms. It's just the way the industry runs in a lot of industry, whether it's a fishing industry or the car industry or anything else. It's how we learn about a lot of that stuff, how it gets out there in the press. Not as much as it used to be, not as much. People are more savvy. They know where to go on YouTube or anywhere else to get objective looks at things now, but still, I got better things to do than pound on on people that just do things differently, you know, than we do. There's a lot of good folks that I know that kind of operate that way, and it's all right. It's all right. I'm glad they're making a good living. If you are a viewer of television, of YouTube videos, any kind of media, magazines, anything you're picking up to read, whatever it is, just as I admonish you constantly, be aware of agendas and aware of people's motivation, why they're bringing this to you, why they're bringing this particular firearm to you, or whatever it might be, or accessory, and yeah, we're good. As long as you know what's going on, you can see it. All right, enough on that. What should I shoot? Can I shoot this a couple more times? Many of you probably have one of these dumb things. Yeah, I mean, the Scorpion EVO, they've been around a long time. They're really popular, I think. And there's probably some better pistol caliber carbines, pistol caliber pistols. This one's actually a pistol. But it's interesting, and I like it. The simplicity of it, it's a blowback. And I remember from the carbine, sometimes there's a firearm that you're not even sure what it is about it. It's just when you add everything up, it just hits you right, and you enjoy shooting it. You could criticize the trigger, although the trigger's not too bad. I don't know, it's not horrible. I don't know if they replaced it or not. Does that look like a replacement trigger on that thing? The actual trigger may be. I don't know if they, when I say that, I mean, we put your finger. There's a lot more to a trigger. I'm sorry, didn't want to appear even dumber than I am, some of you, young people especially. Yeah, I know that is the trigger. But the trigger really is everything that, you know, up in here that makes it the trigger. Okay, and let me explain that too. Let me see now. We're totally unloaded. Okay, let's see. I think I can just pop that pin out, and yeah. So there's the trigger. So all of that. See inside there, that's the trigger, not just this little thing you put your finger on. Okay, so I don't know. Any of you expert Scorpion folks tell me, is that the original trigger? That look like the original? I don't see a name on it. There's something on the side of that. I should say Winchester? No, just kidding. All right. It says John Browning on it. I gotta watch how I joke. Too many people fall for my lame jokes. All right, let's put some of this back in here and plink a little more. Okay, don't let me put my ears on because I don't need them, do I? Let's shoot this guy right here again. Now, another one of these physics lessons, you see how much higher the sight is than the muzzle. So I'm going to hold up there, really the top of the top circle. Okay, let me hold top of the second circle. There we go. That's where I need to. Something to remember if you're shooting up close with one of these. Now, if I'm aiming over there at this red plate, so I'm just holding right on. And missing. There we go. I hope I got that sight. Look like yeah, I think that was me. I think I got the sight on. That was me pulling to the right. I love it. Look at this. Pow. Yep, I felt it lock back. It locked back. All right. Oh, you're all okay? That didn't fall on you, did you? I moved the table out a little bit closer out of the sun. And that wall that was between it and the tree just fell. I'm so glad it didn't fall on you all and hurt you, because you're closer to it than I am. Okay, so glad. Oh, glad my cat wasn't under that too. Slamfire never comes over here unless he's hunting. Occasionally, if I'm walking around, it is funny. I could be hiking, which I do a lot. You see me post on Instagram, the real Hickok 45. When I come out just hiking with a favorite pistol or a knife sometimes and hacking around, clearing trails, I'll just stop and take a picture of it. Nothing exciting, but posted on Instagram what I'm enjoying today, the hardware I'm enjoying. But I'll be over here, sometimes I'm in the four-wheeler running around, and I'll come around a corner. Is there such thing as a corner out in the woods, but sort of on a trail? And there he'll be lying there stalking something. So I had to kind of watch for the turkey. But generally speaking, he doesn't come over here. He never follows me. You know how cats are. They're not like a dog. And when I had golden retrievers, you know, I'd have to fight them to keep them from coming with me. Tie them up or something. Put them in a fence. You know, I mean, you can't keep them from coming with you. You know how dogs are. But cats aren't exactly that way. We had one years ago that would like hike with us. At least over to this point, but we went on over there too far, he wouldn't. But he'd actually walk along with it. It was kind of weird, because cats don't do that, if you don't know that. And if you're new, really new, I'm surprised you're watching this. Well, maybe it's because you haven't been alienated yet, but Slamfire is kind of the mascot around here. He's my buddy, and he shows up as you look at videos, and the many videos you've not seen yet. You will see him pop up from time to time. In fact, this morning I started to post a picture. I was out messing around early this morning, and he got up on the shooting table. If you can see that. Yeah, there he is lying on the shooting table. I started to put that on Instagram. There are a lot of people that like Slamfire. He's a good old boy. But he just jumps up there. You can put him up there, but he won't stay necessarily. It's just, you know how cats are. If they want to be somewhere, they'll get there. If they don't bother to put them there. They want to be where they want to be, okay? By choice. So I might shoot this revolver again, can I? Anything else I was going to talk about? Hope you enjoyed the videos we've been posting, like some of the shorts and the fireworks. That was fun, you know, shooting the tracers the other night. Yeah, that's a weird thing. Speaking of phones, you know, with you going to do shorts, you need to do it on your phone. And John and I were over here waiting for it to get dark enough, and I sort of put my phone up and put the camera on, and I held it up, and you know how a good camera will do, it'll capture more light than there actually is. You know, it's really, and I've said that in videos before, it's like almost dark, but the camera is not showing it that as dark as it really is, maybe a little fuzzy. So a good camera lens will capture, you know, light, just like a scope, good scope, I guess. Well, these kind of do the same thing, mine does, and it was getting really close to dark. And I opened my camera up, and it looks like afternoon in my camera. People are going to, you know, the tracers will show up some, but, you know, if we talk about it being night, they're going to laugh at it. But it's funny. But then and so we waited a little bit longer, and it wasn't totally dark. I mean, you could see as you're filming just fine. You could see me and everything. And in fact, I could play back the original of that, and I don't think it changed. It was when you played it back, yeah, it's dark. That's weird. But when we were filming it, it looked like just late in the afternoon. So got to remember that. So it really wasn't pitch dark. In fact, I'll confess, when I was shooting on the last part of that, if you've seen that short, and you can get to any of the shorts on the channel, of course. It was shooting tracers, and then shot the John's M16 without the muzzle brake. Flash suppressor, and in really low light conditions, and it appears to be totally dark. Well, when we did that in that first short, you may have seen, wasn't quite that dark, but man, it was bright. Did it over on the other hill, and we had to do a redo of it because I lost my balance. And I'm not sure whether it was a lot of people make cracks about that, about causing a seizure and everything. I think there might be something to that because, you know, that thing doesn't kick that much. I had a good footing. And I mean, I really I had to catch myself, you know, in that. And we had to redo it. I looked like I was drunk, so we redid it. Well, we didn't redo this the other night on 4th of July. But I really lost my balance, and that's why I shot in bursts. I had to stop and then started to get my balance, and that's why I said something about this really disorients you. I was kind of explaining so people wouldn't think I'd been drinking, and then I finished off the magazine. Well, the way it turns out, it's so dark in the video you can't see me stumble, which is good. But it's a real weird phenomenon. Try it sometime. You may have, because I'm pretty stable. I'm having trouble standing, and you get a good footing, and I can empty a 40 round magazine without moving or anything. But with that flash, that incredible flash going off, and I kind of kept my eyes closed. I got it aimed in on a safe spot there, and I kind of kept my eyes almost closed, but I'd open them, and it would just mess with you. Now, I didn't have a seizure, have mental issues any more than normal, but I have learned that it does mess with your balance. It's weird. Light like that actually affects your brain, and whether you think it is or not, apparently, because I have lost my balance several times doing that. I haven't fallen down, and I don't want to appear to be stumbling around shooting a machine gun or anything, so we're going to be careful about that. Again, looking like not sober or something, because that's really bad. Guns and alcohol, don't mix, and that's the message we always, got to keep out there in the front. So, anyway, just for your information, be careful if you're ever in a firefight and you're getting a lot of flashback. You might need to take that in consideration and get extra good footing. Get a hold of a rail or something. There's a fence post there. Prop yourself up against it. Tie yourself to it. So interesting, really was. So, if I give youngsters any advice, probably, don't watch these videos because it's too much talking and not enough shooting. Oh boy, youngsters. Yeah, I don't know. I hate to pick on youngsters. I enjoy young people. I wouldn't have taught so long if I hadn't. But and I don't mean to pick on 20-year-olds or 18-year-olds or anything. It's just that when you get to be 30, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just like when you're, if you're 18 right now. Think back when you were 12, you thought you knew everything, or 13 or 15, and think about the same reason you don't want your little brother or sister hanging around, or you don't want to hang out around with kids that are like 3 grades behind you. They don't know anything, right? When you get to be 30, you'll look back on when you're 20, and you will think, wow, I was such a kid, And then when you're 50, you look back on when you're 30 and realize, I thought I was an adult. I'm not sure I was an adult even at 30. It's kind of the way it is. Of course, I'm not sure I'm an adult now. I hope never to be an adult, really. But this is an example that's occurred to me. I'm not sure what reminded me, but I would have bonus questions on my test quizzes when I was teaching. If you were in my class, you know what I'm talking about here. One of the different ways I abused all my students. And I would have corny things, of course. Some of my favorites were I'd end up a quiz with, like, okay, where do walnuts come from? And you'd be amazed how many students would not know that. 13 years old. Yeah. Where do acorns come from? Just things like that. And then I would have fun with it, because then I would just pick on them, some really sharp student didn't know, and they've got a 4.0 average, and they'll end up being a brain surgeon one day. But then I get this opportunity to remind them of the fact that they didn't know there was such a thing as a walnut tree when they were in middle school. And so I would do things like that. And on one test, it was a written out quiz. I had an item on there, and sometimes I had to put it in writing so I wouldn't, if I gave it orally, I might smile or something. But it was a true false. I put it as a true false. And I gave a lot of reading checks, if whatever they were supposed to be reading, or of the homework assignment or not, whatever, just to make sure they're paying close attention, they're staying up with it, and nothing unfair, but just you got to read whatever the assignment is. You can't get by without reading. You're gonna get hammered with quizzes, sometimes very short, but you're gonna get hammered. Lots of times it's just who shot John, just the thing that requires more thinking or critical thinking would come later usually, but just daily checks, which character did this or who does that, or whatever. What's the dog's name? Just it's the things that you generally would know it unless you were asleep while you were reading, that kind of thing. So then I'd end up with a bonus question or something, and I had it one day. Gosh, how did I phrase it? It wasn't really a trick. It was I think I just wrote unicorns actually exist, or some people don't agree. Some people think they don't, but unicorns actually are real. It was something like, it was really cut and dry. It was true or false. Even though some people don't agree or think it's true, unicorns actually do exist. Okay, it was like that. It was that definitive. Well, again, this is 7th grade. Smart kids, private school. Doesn't mean everybody's smart. It's in a private school, but it's college prep, and they were smart kids, a lot smarter than I was. And what was the percentage? It was most of them. Most of them marked that true, that unicorns actually exist. Okay, and I had done this for long enough, for enough decades and years, to not be too surprised by anything. But that one surprised me. It really did. And I get surprised pretty often about things, just because a lot of my bonus questions were quite often just something from general life, kind of thing. It might be something as simple as, how would you get to Bowling Green? We're in Nashville. Would you travel north, south, east, or west, or something like that? Most of them would miss that. I said, no, wait a minute. We're just 45 minutes from Bowling Green, Kentucky. You don't even know where it is. At your age, you're north or south, and they'd be able to reach south. So I'd catch them on stuff like that. Just have fun with them. But anyway, that unicorn item, that really stuck with me. I thought, wow. But anyway, I was thinking about that lately. If you're 13 years old and you're a smart kid, a lot of brain power, you might be operating on me one day, brain surgery. But when you're 13, you think there's such a thing as unicorns, with as sophisticated as people are today, and as much as they've been around and traveled, and these kids, the families that travel, you think unicorns are real. And you're well read, by that age, pretty well, pretty intensive curriculum you've been through for all those years. And you think unicorns exist. Maybe they do. So if you're 13, is my point, and you're smart, but you think unicorns really are real, how far have you gotten a couple years after that? You take a class of 50, and when they're 15, are there still maybe 20% think unicorns are real? When you're 18, there's still a few. What else do you think is real that's not real? What else have you not thought through very deeply? Okay, that's my point. When we're young, we just are busy with what we're doing, what's in front of our face for the most part, and our friends and everything. And we're just we're just not too sophisticated generally yet. Okay, and and so anyway, one of the things I was going to tie that to is social media and how crazy our world is today. So you got young people living in this world of social media and being very influenceable, right? Very malleable. I mean, so I don't know. Just be aware of that if you're a young person or if you're an old person, that a lot of people are just kind of living in I don't know about a different world, but they don't see things the way you see them. I think we tend to assume everybody is at least as smart as I am, or sees things the way I see it, at least, you know, and everybody's got a different frame of reference, right? So it's an interesting study, human behavior. I could never get one of those kids to find a unicorn for me to bring it in, show the class, you know. That would have been a really nice show and tell. Okay, we'll take a couple more shots and let you go. How about the cowboy? Have we shot long range with this thing yet? There we go. Had to ping the gong. Got one more round. Blow up a 2-liter. I'll tell you, a couple of nice firearms. Yeah, nice firearms. Been shooting them and doing videos, and just wanted to bring them out, shoot them some more today, and might shoot them yet some more before the day is over. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, any other announcements, things you were dying to know about? Nah, not really, not really. Yeah, I know one thing I was going to mention about young people in this business of the unicorn and how unsophisticated, you know, a 13-year-old or 12-year-old can be, and they should be. You get right in there. They should be. You know, be kids. Be kids. I'm not really being all as critical as I sound. If a 12-year-old, 13-year-old thinks unicorns might exist, maybe that's a good thing. You know, there's a lot of kids living on the street that know too much. They're too wise, right, at a young age. But one of the things for young people to keep in mind is this bullying. I heard this commercial again. You've heard it run. It's a public service announcement, I guess, for, you know, what is it? I don't know. But you know where they say, they got kids talking in the radio commercial that I learned in English class today that I stink or something. I learned in study hall that I'm stupid, or I learned in math class that I'm really stupid and I'm ugly and different things. You've heard that commercial maybe. I guess it's a PSA. And what are they advertising? But I think it's about bullying, isn't it? Yeah, it's about bullying. And that's the thing. You can't put it in context for young people. Again, some of them believe in unicorns, you know, so it's hard for them to see the big picture. They don't realize, you don't realize, if you're 13 or you're 15 or whatever, or 20, you just don't realize yet, if someone is bullying you through the phone, through text messages, through email, or whatever they're doing online, and they're saying dumb things about you, if someone is bullying you, trying to make you feel small, they don't know enough. You're giving them too much credit if you allow them to make you feel small, or to make you feel dumb, or to make you feel ugly. You're giving them way too much credit. They might be one of those people that believes in unicorns. You know, I mean, they're, again, that's okay if you believe in unicorns and you're really young. But, you know, you don't know anything yet, you know, and you're thrown in that world of social media and everything as a teenager, and you let what people say about you hurt you, or you give it more meaning than it deserves, is the point I'm making. I saw this happen over and over again. We really worked at preventing that where I taught. But you don't realize at the time what a little blip that middle school or that high school experience, even though it's 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years, you don't realize how incredibly small a blip that is on your entire life. Okay, so don't let it drive you mad. I mean, it's such a small period of time in your life, so insignificant. All those people you're letting bother you, guess what? They're incredibly immature, right? Some of them may just stay that way and be evil people, you know, as they grow up. I don't know, but you're giving a 12-year-old, you're giving a 15-year-old, an 18-year-old, or whatever, way too much power over you. you won't even think about them in 3, 4, 5 years. Okay, they'll still have a middle school or a high school mentality, and you'll be off doing something productive, hopefully. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons they are picking on you, because you're a little more mature than they are. Yeah, and they resent that. Okay, or you're smarter or whatever it is. You're prettier, you're more handsome, or like me. And that was the thing I noticed teaching, for what it's worth, and I was in the classroom a long time. It was very perplexing to me. The ones where the bullying or someone was being picked on, and we get word of it, and we try to address that, but it almost always, not always, but almost always was one of the more mature kids, or somebody you went, what? So-and-so's getting bullied? Or they're saying mean things to her or about her, or she's one of the neatest kids in the class and seems like more mature than the rest of them. That was the problem, quite often. Now, sometimes you have a kid, God bless them, they're just weird, like me. They can't help it. They're just weird, okay? And, of course, they're going to be a target of teenagers or middle schoolers. That just happens. The other kids just need to be mature enough to not do that and pile up on somebody who kind of brings it on to them. So you got people who, they're just very, very strange maybe, but then you got some who also say things to bring it on. Okay, I know how that goes. But you just got to get past all that. You got to get past that. If you're a youngster, get past that, For one thing, these kids that get bullied, sometimes it just really does affect them, And then they they lash out violently, perhaps, maybe this year, next year, or 5 years from now, Everybody wants to fit in. Everybody wants to fit in. They don't realize, most people do, to some extent, and they don't realize how strange they're acting or the weird things they say, maybe, and it's an effort to fit in, So cut them some slack. And for whatever that's worth. Okay, I'm going to shut up. I might take just a couple more shots. Can I do that? Will you get mad at me if I take a couple more? I want to take a couple more with this baby. All right. Put a fresh mag in. A fresh bullet. And shoot something. Oh, how about this ammo can right here? You see it? That's good. That's good. So it's good to talk to you. I'm glad you came out today. And now it's clouding up like it's going to rain. So y'all have a great week. And remember what I said about the imposters. Don't be fooled by that. Idiots selling cryptos, or they're trying to get you to text them because they won something. Don't let anybody get by with that on any site. Report them, whatever you can do, whether it's on our channel or others. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre. Stealing like people's avatar and their username and doing that. I've reported people like that over the years. There's so much of it goes on against us that we don't run a lot of it down that we should. If there's something really serious, we will. And as I've mentioned before, you're never going to get anything weird from me. Well, other than every video, right? But I'm never going to say something really, really crazy, or anything you ever hear, it would have been from an imposter, Even if I were going to say something really crazy, it wouldn't be online. And I just not going to do that, I'm just not going to do that. I've got a pretty good filter there in my brain after having taught middle school for so many years that it's one reason I can talk for an hour and feel fairly confident, and don't even always listen to what I said before we post it, because I just know if I'm going to say anything it's too crazy, really. And I don't slip very much. I don't have a lot that I'm going to slip into accidentally, So anyway, just, watch the videos, who we are and what we do, and you know me probably by now better than I do. And do not fall for an imposter, okay? They might do something really weird, like promise you $1 million if you'll come and wash their car or something. And you get there and it's not me, it's somebody even creepier than I am. Yeah. So watch what you fall for. Life is good.